Welcome to Clixed Off, brought to you by Lucky Dice Cafe out of Huntsville, Alabama. Check them out at LuckyDiceCafe.com. And now for your hosts, Daniel Powell, Jason Alvey, Alex Coos, and Tyler Spees.
Hey everybody, welcome to Clixed Off today. This is your host, Daniel, Missouri State Champion Powell speaking. Just want to let everybody know that Clixed Off is brought to you by TrollandToad.com, the world's largest HeroClix retailer. Find HeroClix new and old on TrollandToad.com and use coupon code CLIXEDOFF for 5% off your HeroClix order. Merchant and pre-order items do not apply. If you enjoy what you're listening to here on Clixed Off, check us out at patreon.com/ClickStuff. $5 and above gets entered into our Discord server for HeroClix strategy and tactics discussion. $1 and above gets entered into our monthly giveaways. Check it out. And joining me today in a unheard of change of order is Alex, 2024 Tennessee State Champion.
Hello there, fellow state champion.
Yes. And then lastly, but whatever, is Jason could only get second place at Kentucky, Alvey.
Yeah.
Almost state champ.
Almost state champ.
Yeah, lost a roll-off in a mirror match.
He lost a roll-off in a mirror match. But you know how funny that would have been. We were this close, guys, to winning 3 state championships with pretty much the exact same team. The sideline was a little bit different.
It was almost poetic justice, but it's okay. And listen, Jason, that's really good on you to be able to get second. Like,
it is. It really is.
It was a very competitive tournament that you were playing, and not to say the others weren't, but like that's really awesome that you got up to second, because you told us you were only aiming for 9th, right? You guys were aiming for 9th for the box.
Yeah, everybody came ready for Darkside that day,
and you still got second though.
Well, and Darkside got first. Darkside got first and second. So
yeah, so they didn't come prepared enough.
No, they did not.
Because you know what? Darkside can still shoot.
Who would have thought?
You know what? I did very little damage through walking through barriers, to be quite honest, through that whole thing. Because everybody had a Griever. Yep. Except the other dark sides that I played.
Yep. Yeah, Griever is not easy to take out. It's stupid stop click.
Yep.
Yeah, because you don't have a follow-up attack. Right? I mean, if you're just shooting... so
you might have a Zabu at some point that's like going to try its best to get out there and hit.
I had to sacrifice a Kazar at one point in order to get rid of her. Wasn't the greatest thing, but it's all I had access to. So, but it worked. So,
well, congrats on second place either way. We poke fun about the state champion thing, but that's still really good to get second.
Yeah. Well, now as we exit out of states, I'm just looking real quick at the results. The most winningest piece was not Darkside. He only had 66 wins in the month of December. There's still 2 state championships left. He only had 66 wins in the month of December, to whereas his good buddy Colossus had 89 wins, and Colossus's good buddy Saturnine had 75 wins. In the month of November, Colossus...
Where do you put this at?
It's in the meta section of HC.
Meta section of HC.
Under Silver Age.
Yeah. And then...
And to clarify, wins, we mean like wins in a tournament, not like state wins.
Yeah.
We mean like wins.
Wins in a tournament, yeah. Because then you come into the month of November, where Colossus had 100 wins. Colossus's good friend Saturnine had 116 wins. And Darkside only had a mere 86 wins.
Yep. So Darkside was still in the top 10. But you could take the rest of it with a grain of salt, right? Like the first 3 are the Porters and Butterfly, which are on every one of them is on every team basically.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 773 teams played Black Shirt Porter in the month of November. Butterfly had 567 teams. And then Saturnine, with the steep drop-off, was 225 teams.
What's interesting, I think, is you have Kazar above Darkside because there were a few teams that still played Kazar outside of Darkside. But you can imagine most Darkside teams had a Kazar on it, or a decent amount.
Right. But by the way, Kazar's dope, right? Like, I mean,
right.
In a format of 400 points, Kazar's dope.
Yeah.
He was great. So,
yeah, and then in the month of December, Black Shirt Porter was on 399 teams. Butterfly was on 224 teams. And then Colossus was on 147 teams.
Yeah, I mean, I had to beat all that stuff. I liked I beat Colossus, Saturnine, Butterfly, like, ordered twice.
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah, Colossus, was on 147 teams, and almost half as many teams had Darkside at 82 teams. One of the top 8 yesterday had 5 out of the 8 teams were Colossus.
Yep, he's incredibly good for his points.
Him with the Captain Carter shield, plus the Saturnines.
Yep. Well, and
it's not good.
Well, and also add in the Butterfly, right? Like, Butterfly is icing on the cake because you get the butterflies that you can mind control through, and Colossus just makes it where almost no matter what, you're gonna be able to mind control somebody. So,
if you sort by win percentage, I love the look at win percentage because it's Legacy Magneto had been played once and had 8 wins at 100% win rate, because that was Lucas's state win with that one. And then the Skull was on 13 teams with 11 wins, because Ed, Isaac, and then the guy that copied Isaac all won with the Skull.
Yeah, this is interesting data. I mean, the win percentage doesn't really mean much because of like what you were just talking about.
I know, it's just funny to look at.
Yeah. Like, number 1 is Immortus for the state for November.
Yeah. Oh, did he win 1 game and drop?
4 wins, so he has a 100%. There was only 1 person, I guess, that played. It says 6 teams, 4 wins, but it had a 100% ratio with it.
That's funny.
So yeah. So you got to take win percentage by a grain of salt. That's why they have it sort by wins and sort by popularity and everything.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the Black Panther stuff pop up in there. Like, Prime Panther pops up at number 4, 87.5%.
Yeah, but this is all data we didn't have before. So it's just fun to look at it and be like, oh, neat.
Yeah. I still would like to see, the only thing he doesn't have in here for me, Clay doesn't, is the number of theme teams that won states.
I mean, that info's in there. It's just not spelled out separately.
Well, I know. If I had access to run a SQL query on it, I could do it.
Well, it might be something that comes out when states is over.
Well, I know, but I'm impatient, so...
Sure.
I want to be able to look
not
at it.
Not impatient enough, though, to look it up and count it out yourself.
Obviously, obviously, yeah.
But impatient enough to request the feature.
Like, now that I've played Silver Age 400 points, it was not my favorite for sure.
Yeah,
but it probably wasn't as quite as bad as I thought it was going to be.
It's still Clix. Like, it's still competitive. Like, you're still playing against other good players.
Yeah, I played against a lot of people that were very, fun to play with, so it probably helps color that somewhat,
Like, I don't think it's, like, a competitive step up from, like, Sealed. Because Sealed is all luck based on did you actually get good figures. So that's why I'm always trying to emphasize with Silver. It's like, well, I mean, it's something. Like, it's still a format that you play against good players. It's competitive. You build a team. And, yeah, there's some things that need to be sorted out with it a little bit with balance. But it's still competitive Clix. It's still you meet up and there's a lot of people playing. And
I still think there's a lot of a little too much on the board. Still too many points. Too many things on the board to keep up with.
yeah, well, that's not going to get any easier with all the new stuff we're getting.
No.
No, there's just more stuff.
Yep, but like Dan was saying, most of the states are over. I think there's a couple left, and then we get the transition and get ready for 2025.
Yeah,
and go back to playing Modern Age again.
Yeah, and I think pretty much for us here, right? I mean, consider this our Silver Age wrap up on episode 254 of Clixed Off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for now, because Rock Cup will be in May, right?
I will say this. There better be some very big and sweeping changes for the positive between now and Rock Cup. I'm not saying there will be or there won't be. It's all up to a few people's decisions. And maybe I'll just leave it at that for now.
Well, you know what? The hope
some of it's up to WizKids, right? I mean,
it's a lot of it. Almost everything.
It's not all in the Rock's hands, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think it's been stated before. I mean, it's all the changes that happen are to WizKids' discretion and approval. It's not as if Aaron and Rock can just do whatever they want because this is a partnership with WizKids. It's up to them whether they feel comfortable with allowing mission points and then taking away mission points. So, but you know what? As a segue, there's stuff in Modern that they need to fix also. Going into Modern Age.
I mean, maybe like one thing compared.
One gigantic thing.
Yeah, I would say. I'm on a podcast. I've done a podcast for 8.5 years now, here on the show, and so that means I really like to talk, and I'm just not going to talk right now. So, anyways, one giant thing, I think we are going to talk about the introduction of the new test for every figure. Much like of years past, we had the Cyclops, call out Cyclops and hit him for 6 test. We now have the does it pass the Beetlejuice test. So keep that in mind when we were reviewing figures here. The Beetlejuice test.
Now, I don't think we'll necessarily be rating. So before we jump into talking a little bit about that, do you guys think Beetlejuice is going to get a change?
Not anytime soon, I don't think.
So,
do you think it'll be changed, period?
So I think the problem mainly with Beetlejuice is Butterfly. Or anything that makes a Pog that doesn't score points.
That's definitely a problem. Even if you remove that, he just makes the game less fun.
Yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing, is the fact that he's free from the sideline and he has a way to just stay out perpetually with no punishment.
Sure.
Right. But I would say, my main thing thinking about Modern coming up is I'm just going to play Beetlejuice on the main force.
Right.
So I think my basis for my Modern team going into whatever event I get to play in next is probably one of the IC regionals for Champion Clix.
Why do you want to do that versus just bringing him in for free because of Chair Panther?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think the basis for all my teams is Beetlejuice on a bike, Charge Super Sense bike, Butterfly, and Chair Panther.
So
I think that
it's already built. Let's go.
I mean, I think that's pretty much straightforward. I mean, I think in Modern, Butterfly is just extremely super duper powerful. If the reviewing the state results haven't proven that out yet for y'all, but I mean, realistically, you got to play Butterfly in Modern. I think you have to play Beetlejuice. Or sorry, correction. Let me correct that. I don't think you have to play Beetlejuice on the main force. You have to have Beetlejuice on your sideline or somewhere, or on your main force or your sideline. And then
I don't know if I'd agree with that. Like,
yeah,
you have to have one, because if your team is not built to, like, if your team is built around having a lot of free actions and you're just going to mitigate your way through Beetlejuice.
No, so here's why I think you have to have it, regardless. Okay. Because here's the first thing I think is true. You have to play Butterfly. So,
sure.
And I think Beetlejuice is the best defense we've had for going second in a long time. There are other strategies that you can... Let's just say you don't. Let's just say your opponent doesn't have a Beetlejuice for some reason, and you go second. Well, you can mitigate their Alpha Strike by being able to keep Beetlejuice out for at least a turn or two. And then he can go away, right? I mean, you don't have to KO the Pog from Butterfly, right? It's an optional thing. You can just make him go back to the sideline. So, I think it's a must have. It's a must play. Absolutely. I don't know, and I don't know every team. I haven't thought of every team in Modern, but I can't think of a team right now that shouldn't play Butterfly and shouldn't play Beetlejuice, main force or sideline.
Okay, fair enough.
I think you can win without Butterfly. I mean, but he's super, super, super good.
Are we getting to a point where there needs to be maybe a watch list?
I mean, we played in November, right? At that Red, White, and Clix tournament, which is a pretty good sized tournament. There was a lot of good people there. You know, it was pretty awesome.
The only thing, it was awesome. It was great. It was interactive. We played really good Clix.
And we had everything we have now, minus the Panther set, which I don't think causes any problems on its own.
Well, the main thing was that, but looking at that from a technicals perspective, Butterfly was everywhere. And so was Perdegaton. Now,
There was plenty of non-Butterfly teams in the top 8, though.
I don't think there was.
I think there was.
Let me look.
Because that's what I'm wondering about. Like, if we're talking about Beetlejuice needs a fix, do we think Butterfly is just too strong?
Yeah, so... Rob's team had it. Az teams had it. My team had it. Three of the 4 top 8 had it. Or sorry, 3 of the 4 top 4. And then I don't know what Gabriel had.
Pat didn't have it. So at least half didn't have it.
I don't know. It's a 50% playable thing. Like 50% of the.
I'm just saying that 50% is still 50%. It's not every top 8 figure, every top 8 team.
I think it's not the problem with Butterfly is, like, I don't know how you would fix it. Like, I don't know how you would make it if it's too powerful, because it is a support, but it does other things, right? Like, it's incredibly powerful because it gives you the Swiss Army knife to be able to be like, oh, I'm going against this. Well, Butterfly's helping me out in all these different matchups. So how would you even try to go about fixing that if it's just too good, like too necessary?
I don't find that it's like an oppressive figure.
It's not oppressive. Right. It doesn't stop you from playing the game.
It doesn't stop from playing the game. Or
I mean, let's think about. I mean, like the porters. I think it equates up there to the level of the porters,
which we all agreed needed something.
Yeah,
We didn't like the way we didn't like the porters.
I didn't feel like the porters need changes because
I didn't have a problem with porters.
I didn't either.
Roll the tape. Roll the tape, guy. No. Roll the tape.
I said I didn't care. I said I didn't need to be banned. So you can go back and listen to it.
I think the main thing with Porter is that my main thing with Porter was he was a charity figure. It didn't need to be changed.
Right. What about Mern? Mern got errated.
And I think they did just fine with Mern.
Right, but pre-errata Mern.
I miss pre-errata Mern.
Right, but he didn't do anything oppressive, quote unquote. Like he wasn't running across the field and just deleting a team like a Kong pre-errata.
But he was stopping all your stat buffs in his bubble.
Okay.
Pretty good size.
Yeah. I mean, Butterfly could just bring in that Mern or bring in a lot of other pieces. Like this is the same. This is right, but this is a similar argument that we had before about or discussion about like Venom mags. Those type of pieces, like the pieces that they are more support pieces. They don't do something crazy oppressive, but they are almost a necessity on every team. That still like inhibits the meta a bit, where it's like, oh well, I really gotta have Butterfly. Yeah, and so
I don't have a problem with support pieces that don't stop you from doing things.
I do if it's.
I didn't play Butterfly in my team in that event, and did just fine. Didn't feel like I needed it. I only lost one game in Swiss. That's because I conceded. And, you know, I was totally fine with the team I played and didn't have Butterfly.
No, I'm not necessarily saying.
Like, I feel like if Butterfly didn't exist, other things might become worse.
Well, yeah.
Like the Starro healing team. Like, Butterfly keeps that in check somewhat.
Well, not in Modern.
But, yeah, it does. Because you play Elsa Bloodstone. And
that's fair. That's fair, yeah.
Like, you know, I guess Juice does that somewhat too because, you know, free healing, so he stops that. But you get my point. Like,
sure. But, I mean, I guess we also get into a world where, you know, theme isn't exactly necessary. And we're still trying to get used to that a little bit. I mean, it is necessary if you want the bonuses to roll for map, which is still very important. But it's not as... you don't have the... Remember, we went to a phase of when they changed the rules, theme isn't as important. But then we got the Porter chases that made it... Or Porter figures that made theme important. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, you want theme for them because they get all these added bonuses. Well, now they're gone again. So now it's, okay, can I just build for going second? Or go build for having the map? Because that's probably what you'll get most of the time.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think Butterfly needs a change. I think it's something that should be monitored a little bit. About whether, you know, is the swapping and the pogs and the mind control, is that all too much? Like, if it was just simply you swap into a 50-point character or less, that's good enough on its own. Like, for 60 points, swapping to the Elsa, swapping to any of these other 50-point figures is well worth 60 points.
Yeah,
it's all the extra stuff, too.
And it's the pseudo don't die part of it, too, right?
Yeah. But now you also get... That's why this works so well with Colossus. Because you get the... Oh, you also get mind control on that figure. And you get to do the whole thing through the swarms.
Yeah, mass leeching is very, very good.
Yeah.
So don't discount mass leeching at all.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest concern with Butterfly is, like, if it was just host body, okay, like, I'm in the wheelhouse, it's a great support piece, but mass leeching with the free pogs and all of that stuff is a borderline. Maybe it's almost too good, but I don't know if it needs touching yet, but I would keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But Beetlejuice needs a change, but I think it's a fairly straightforward change. Like, it's easy to fix him to where he's still very good, but he's just not as oppressive as he is now.
If he gets changed where he can't just kill off free pogs to stay on the board, then I think he just becomes piece where you have to make person.
I don't think that's enough, because I agree with that. I think all you have to do is change it to the only people who could do the change it to where it says deal another friendly standard character. And just make it you can only deal it to a standard character or something. You can add standard to both of them. You could do it to you could do it to the whole giving a Beetlejuice a name token. You could do it to there too, so that way you actually have to token up regular people as opposed to the Pogs, and then make it where he can't damage Pogs. He has to damage a regular person or go back to the sideline.
Right, then I think you just see him become a main force piece, like,
which is still quite oppressive, but at least you're having to commit more. And I think
you're 100 points forward at that point.
Which I think if people wanted to argue about that, whether the other characters can't be given free actions is just too strong even on that front, then I think you just give a range to it. I think you just say characters within 6 of Beetlejuice can't use free actions. And that still makes them plenty playable. It gives kind of like a Mern type effect where it's not like more, you can't boost a range. It's just within 6. You could be more aggressive with them. Go out there and say, hey, everyone within 6, you guys can't use free action. And that frees up your team as well to then be able to say, okay, Beetlejuice is out of 6 now. If these characters come back here, can now use running shot and whatnot. It allows you to play Beetlejuice a little better, but it's not as oppressive on your opponents. Like, I think that would be a fix that would still make them very, very playable. Just not as, as we're going forward, keeping Beetlejuice in mind constantly. I think when we chatted in our about this before, a good comparison would be back to the Spider-Man 1776.
Yeah.
When you had the lassos, and it's like, okay, I could just free attack you, and now you have 2. I have 2 of them, and so you have 2 less actions a turn. And so you're just dealing with like the bare minimum of what you can use or something like that. And that was incredibly oppressive back then, because it's like, oh, well, I have to have leadership. I have to have, other things to maybe get more than just 2 actions a turn.
Well, I think
it's minimum 2 for him. But
yeah, it was. I think the big thing there is there's so many free actions within HeroClix that 1776 didn't feel as oppressive as Beetlejuice does.
Right. I'm just saying
because you were still like, yeah, it is, because with 1776 you were still able to like, I don't know, like sidestep, free attack, perplex, outwit, right? So you could just really focus on making your 2 actions be worth it.
He just didn't last that long, though. They errated him pretty fast, did they not?
They did.
Yeah, there was. I don't remember what his.
Really wasn't a major event that he was in that like that.
I think there probably was, but I
well,
don't
think
there was.
So he was there for the online Worlds that year.
That's probably why we don't. There wasn't much.
And then I played him in that States that December. That was still in person at the time, and he was really good.
Yeah, I don't remember what he was before the errata. Like, was it the minimum 2?
You play 2 of them to get down to 2. I don't remember if it was minimum.
Or was it hits? Did he not have to hit before?
No, it just happened map wide before.
Okay, then that was the change.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That you just had him and it was -1. Yeah, and that's why I compare the 2, is because Beetlejuice is also just a map wide.
Yeah.
It's a map wide effect. That's
global effects are very powerful.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so like even Merlin, who had the same limitations, at least gave you 3 or 4, however many actions your action total was. And he was never played at 50, or very rarely played.
I mean,
so,
I don't know. I don't know that anything will be done until they have a major tournament that they're running, that they're going to worry about it.
I don't know.
They don't tend to do that until it's something they have to really deal with.
I don't know how quickly they move on things. Like, I don't know if it's just like, if you take in mind like the Black Panther changes and whatnot, like we got on Friday.
purification of rat as they do for every set. This is different.
Right, but we got those way later than the set dropped. Like,
yeah, we should have got them the week before.
Yeah, so, and that's because it's, the end of the year, slower season. We don't know how active WizKids is at this time. We've seen some of that with some of their pre-scheduled announcements that have gone out for, like, Trigon and stuff. Like, went out before the figure was even legal, because it looked like clearly it was a pre-scheduled ad that went out on Facebook, and it was just not changed or not moved. And they've been notorious for that, of scheduling something and not realizing they need to change it because dates have moved. So
Right.
For me, it's like, oh yeah, don't expect a change until definitely 2025. But I wouldn't surprise me if January 2025 we got something.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
I mean, I would hope that would be the case, but I don't anticipate it.
Well, speaking of Trigon, let's talk about some of the newer Iconix. Do we think that Trigon and Raven have a chance in Modern?
I don't know that anybody's going to play 300-point Trigon any more than they're going to play 300-point Darkside in Modern.
Right? That's my thought, I think. But Trigon is at least, interestingly enough, is that he can survive pretty decently.
Yeah, I want to try it at least one time. Just,
Because he can only be damaged once per turn, right? That's his whole trait thing at 300 points. So, I don't know.
Unless he's going against a Kong. 300-point Kong.
Yeah. But even so, right? Like, so even so, Trigon has super senses on his stop click, so he might be able to beat a Kong.
Right, so real quick, for those who haven't seen Trigon, we don't cover Iconix except for some of these kind of episodes. He has a trait: when Trigon KOs an opposing character 40 points or less, instead score double that character's point value. If Trigon is the highest point character, and he would take damage, if it's not the first time he would take damage this turn, instead he doesn't. I've always thought that was weirdly worded. Then he has another trait at the beginning of the game: choose a friendly character with a lower point value than Trigon. That character can use Trigon's displayed attack power. If they have the mystical keyword, they can also use Trigon's displayed damage power. When the chosen character is KO'd after resolutions, heal Trigon 2 clicks. And if their name was Raven, also modify Trigon's combat values +1 this game. And then he has basically one stop click for each of his 100-point lines.
Mm-hmm.
So 300 he has 3, 200 he has 2. Stop clicks, stop, super senses toughness. When Trigon uses super senses and succeeds, after resolutions, deal the attacker penetrating damage equal to the number of their action tokens.
Right, and he can't be equipped because he's a colossal.
Well, and he's 300 points, right?
He's 300 points. Well, if he wasn't though, but 300 points, he could still get a free equipment potentially, like the bag of holding.
That's true. Yeah.
Right, and that's talking only him at 300. Like, you could play him at 200.
I guess you can put Thon on him. That doesn't seem very smart.
So that doesn't. But the big thing that you can do with Trigon at 300 is you can play the phone booth with it.
Yeah.
And he can park next to the phone booth.
Or I guess you could also play the heart-shaped Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
carry that around.
Well, you'd have to have super straight to carry it, right?
Yeah, he would just have to park.
Yeah.
He would just have to. That would have to be his
Park
base.
on
They'd have to be his base of operations.
Yeah, I didn't actually think about the bush until now. That actually is huge, because the biggest issue right now with Trigon is in silver, which we don't have to talk about, but that deals with Soul Sword, which makes him just impossible to KO. But in modern, I mean, the bush would also slow down him dying, just be, healing him off that stop click, so you just keep hitting it over and over again. You'd have to take out the bush, which is possible. But, yeah, I mean, I could see him being played at 200. 200, and maybe you have some extra fluff to keep him healed and protect and stuff. I think it'd be a little too crazy to go at 300.
Yeah. But, I mean, at 200 points, you still get the ability to have somebody with Perplex and Pulse Wave. Like, you could just play Butterfly, and then say Butterfly into Wonder Woman or John Con, who both have the mystical keyword. And then you're just able to have the Pulse Wave and Perplex.
Yeah. And there's no way to drop equipment currently, right?
Elsa Bloodstone can give it to
Elsa
him.
could do it.
Yeah.
And she's mystical, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so technically you could get Trigon either one of the new, like the one that gives him the attacking one, the new one from Trove, the attack power, a universal weapon.
Yeah, so for what it's worth, you can play... she's not a monster. Oh, that's annoying. But you could just play Trigon, Butterfly, Elsa, 10-point equip, or something else, right, and just give Elsa her trick arrows. Because Trigon with trick arrows is also a thing that can be done. But Butterfly is not mystical, so...
Well, it's ruler, right?
Elsa's not a ruler, though.
Well, I mean, the fact is that there's options. Like,
yeah, you can get it.
I think he's definitely an Iconix you want to pick up. If it interests you, because it only comes with him and Raven, right? There's nothing else that comes with it,
right?
And Raven is okay.
Yeah, it's certainly fun to play those two together.
Yeah, I don't know if I would, like in a competitive mindset. I would play Trigon, but not necessarily her.
Yeah. Yeah, I have Googled flights to Orlando like twice now, but it's just not going to happen so I could play Trigon at an event.
Oh, you mean for the state event?
Yeah.
We did mention, speaking of Iconix, we did mention Superman. Do we want to talk about the phone booth one? Did we ever talk about that one?
So this is we did not. We haven't recorded in a month and 3 days, and all of this stuff has came out in a month and 3 days. So, Up and Away Soups comes with, now let's see, is the Superman worth a shit?
Not particularly.
It's the 026 one, right?
It's the 60.1026, yeah.
Yeah.
He's okay.
He's fine, but he's not that
he's
great.
Okay.
Yeah. But
he's not the harder one by any means.
But you do get a piece in there that you do need to get to buy the whole set. The phone booth is a piece of blocking terrain, so ideally you want to pair it with somebody on your team that has super strength, and then it says adjacent characters can use shape change. If they're named Superman, when they use it, succeed until their next turn, this can be targeted by opposing characters, blah blah blah. You're not playing with a Superman. You're just playing it so your super strength character can carry around, and everybody just kind of plots next to them. Boop, 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 boop. And they all get shape change for a whopping total of 0 points.
Yep.
Isn't that
good?
Isn't that fun?
I kind of like it. I don't think it's
I like it.
I don't know if it's. I don't think it's necessarily oppressive. I think it's a great way to do these terrain markers.
I mean,
because
I don't think
they can be destroyed.
I don't think it's oppressive. I just think it's silly.
Right. I mean, we're talking about things that come off the sideline and could do some crazy stuff. These are terrains that are on the map sure, someone can pick them up and go around it, but you can mitigate that most of the time. You can either outwit, so they outweight super strength, so they have to drop it, or I think if you pulse wave, they have to drop it. I don't remember. But there's ways to mitigate that, as opposed to like, oh, if it's just coming for your sideline for free, you can't control when that comes in, and you can't, sometimes it goes back. It's a little bit better because you can play around the terrain markers a bit more. And we're getting more pieces that I feel like interact with terrain markers more. And that's going to be true. We know the Spider-Man set's supposed to be doing stuff with that, right? This upcoming one, I think that's where they were talking about terrain markers more.
I thought it was Smash and Destroy.
Was it Smash and... All right, it's one of those. Smash and Destroy. That makes a lot more sense. It would be Smash and Destroy than Spider-Man. So, yeah, I mean, this is the route they're going, and I think that's fine. I think it's cool. It's definitely something you want to pick up. I will disagree with you, though, as another great segue, that with the phone booth, there might be a Superman you want to play that could benefit from this.
Oh, yeah, you know what?
Oh, for sure.
There is for sure, but except for the fact that Beetlejuice exists. Oh my gosh, did I have to spoil it that quickly?
I don't know. He can still...
No, Spider-Man doesn't... Beetlejuice doesn't do anything against this guy.
He does, a little bit.
He does, yeah. If he can't sidestep, let's look him up. Alright, let's talk about him. Superman.
So we're talking about the DC Starter 2025. If you haven't picked one up, go ahead and do so.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is shocking for us to recommend getting a starter set, but the ones they've created for Marvel and DC actually have some decent pieces in them, and they come with a map. It's an okay map.
Full-size map.
Yeah, full-size map, and a couple pogs that are technically playable. Like, you could play the Parademon if you need to, or the Civilian for 5 points or whatever. But the key reason you want the DC one is because of Superman. Both point values of Superman are pretty ridiculous for what he does. It's very pick or choose which one you like more. We'll start with the 50-point one. Effectively, with 50-point Superman, he has a movement power that says when Superman moves, after resolutions, he may make an attack, either close or range. So that means if you equip him with something that gives hypersonic, well, technically you're moving twice, so you would get 2 attacks off of it. If you use sidestep, you get an attack. If this was Silver, you use Kazar to free move, he'd get an attack. We've seen this before with a good old Hulk from the Mighty Thor starter set, where every time he moved, he got to use Quake as free or something like that, or at no cost. And that saw a lot of play. Like, there was a whole team that had 3 of those Hulks running around, quaking everything. And so that's just 50-point Superman. 75-point Superman, he gains super strength, he can't be knocked back, and he can reduce penetrating damage as a trait. And then he has a different movement power, Flurry. When Superman moves after resolutions, he may make a ranged attack or use Flurry as free. And that's only 25 points more than his 50-point dial. Same dial as far as, you're only swapping the cards between 50 and 75. That's how the starter sets work. But honestly, between either card, both are playable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like 75 points just because you have Imperv that can reduce band, so
yeah,
makes it much more survivable.
Yeah, I think if you're going more for like a mass amount of Superman, like you're trying to play 3 of these, then you could do it at 50 points and still be pretty successful. But if you want him to stay a little bit longer, and you want to try to use those flurries as opposed to just a single attack,
yeah, I guess I realized that it's just an instruction, so he's not really bothered by Beetlejuice. I thought it was as free.
He can't use Flurry as free, obviously, but
right,
yeah,
but he can just make the.
He can
attack.
make his range attack. Yeah.
Well, that is considerably better than I originally thought.
Yeah, the only detriment he has, kind of in that case, is he does not have improved targeting adjacent characters. So you would either need to give him giant reach or find a way to give him that improved targeting. Because otherwise, if he goes up there and uses Flurry as free, you got to hope he KOs it, because otherwise, if you want to try to use a range attack, you know, it's a little odd because his dial spells range, but then he has Flurry. So it's that kind of awkward. Okay, how do you position him better to be able to utilize both? But
yeah.
Still, incredibly good, though, for a starter figure. I feel like it's been a while since we got a starter figure that, you know, you want to run out and get a copy of.
It's been a long while.
It might be Hulk. Probably not. There's probably been one in between. But
these are way, way, way better than the 2024 starters. I mean, they were kind of garbage.
The 2024 ones were definitely forgettable.
And you get a whole map this time, so...
Yeah, you get a full-size map. Finally. It's supposed to be a two-sided map, but apparently it was only a one-sided map. But at least it's a full map.
Oh, gosh.
I don't hate the Blue Beetle in the starter either. Reroll a single die. That's nice.
A single die he rolled, yeah.
Yeah. On the attack. Yeah.
It's not bad at all. Like,
what is the
I definitely have a copy of it.
Once per turn, may roll a single die he rolled. So he's going to be re-rolling...
Blades?
Oh, well, his blades, or his attack roll, or then his super senses mid-dial.
Or his regen, I guess, too.
Yeah.
He gets later.
He doesn't have that power when he's
you're right.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Should have just given that to him.
75. Yeah.
Oh, I don't need the Marvel one yet, because apparently the DC starter also comes with the civilian.
Yes, it does.
Now, civilian is just literally a 5-point figure with no powers, and it's 6 movement, 9 attack, 16 defense, and 1 damage.
But as Jason wanted to point out, it is also a figure that can be used to activate the King J bomb. So,
right, if you have 2 of them, and that's 2 free attacks or 2 free hits that you get there with that, and just knock them off the top of a elevated piece, right? Drop them down, kill them. There you go.
That is exactly.
Right. Well, the Pool of Lava is still legal, right?
No.
I know it was in the 60th anniversary, but I thought all the terrain markers.
The carded one. The carded ones don't. The carded ones.
Well, Pool of Lava was a carded one.
They don't. The carded ones don't stay. They rotate.
Okay, that's what you meant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Talking about the Marvel starter, not as good as the DC one, because you don't have, that Superman is just crazy good. But it's not bad either. I should mention the DC one, besides Civilian, I mentioned the Parademon and the Darkseid Pog. The Marvel one comes with a Civilian, Ultron, and an Ultron drone, which is cool. They're not really playable, but if you were playing that old Legacy Ultron that's retired and is in silver, the Ultron Pogs matter, because you can take powers from that. But it does come with is it a different map, or is it the same map?
It's a different map.
It's a different map. It looks cooler than the other one. But the only figure you really want to talk about or look at potentially is Thor, in my opinion. The Thor at 50 points, because he doesn't have the power at 75 for some reason. At 50 points, he's just a running shot, invincible, 7 clicks, but he has Pulse Wave for the first 3 clicks, but deals 2 damage instead. That's it. It's simple, but if you think of how popular Party Thor was for a little bit, which he gave an action token, but the fact that you could just play 50.4, run out there and just Pulse Wave everyone for 2, that gets through some stop clicks, that's That's pretty gross. That could be
Well,
interesting.
The pulse wave for 2 wouldn't get through stock clicks. So what are you saying there?
Or I'm sorry, it would actually impact stock clicks with toughness.
Gotcha.
That's what I meant. It wouldn't go through a stock click, but it was always a pain when you're facing colossals or people that had a stock click with toughness. And you're like, I'm going to pulse wave you. And they're like, too bad, I'm so tough with this stock click that you can't deal me 1 damage. Well, if you deal them 2, you're going to get through that toughness. So,
yeah.
I don't know if you need to run out and get it, but if you're looking to play Asgardian or Avengers or something, Thor's not bad.
You know what would make this even better? Is if these silly things were legal for pulp.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Superman might just crush and pulp. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. You can't equip.
You can't equip him, and it may not be any other way to make him move, but he would probably be a must-play, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Superman in Modern, because there's some shenanigans you could do with him currently. You can get him, obviously, the bike, and I think there's some good synergy.
I mean, it's the bike. It gives him the hypersonic, right? And then Diana can give him sidestep.
Yeah.
So you probably can't use because of Beetlejuice.
You know what? Okay. Let's just pretend we didn't hear that, okay?
But you know what? I don't know if Beetlejuice can survive getting shot 4 times from 2 Supermen. It's just gonna keep blasting him.
Well, that's why the Beetlejuice has shape change and super senses from a bike.
Sure.
And Mastermind.
Yeah, and Mastermind. That's the big one that you can't outwit.
Yeah. But that's when you come in with the Thor with the pulse wave or 2.
I mean, you got some figures that say you can't use Mastermind during the attack now, so maybe those take a step up, like Green Arrow from Master of the Time, for instance. I think it's solid real. Yeah.
Well, and then also, who knows with all the one shots we have too, to help get through. Through some of this stuff. Some one shots might be useful.
Rivalry, right?
Yeah.
It depends. Like Rivalry is one, and we'll talk about these obviously more when we do the set review.
That bypasses Mastermind because it becomes a hit, right?
No, you determine it. No, Rivalry doesn't get past Mastermind.
No, the one that could help is Space Gem. If you hit them with a close attack, you may immediately place them 4 squares from their current square. So, like, you hit them, they're still hit by the attack, but you're moving them 4 squares away immediately. So, like, things like that.
Wait a minute, they got to share a keyword for Rivalry?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah, so it does get past. It does get past it. You choose not to roll, the attack becomes a hit.
It becomes a hit, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
But, we're entering a new, we're anxiously waiting for Collector's Trove, so we'll see how that impacts this whole Beetlejuice thing. But if you're looking at the starter sets, definitely pick up at least one of the DC ones, just because I think the Superman's worthy enough to have around for multiple reasons. And he gets whatever the added benefit was for the phone booth. I don't even remember what the benefit was for.
They can't be targeted at all. They can't be targeted at all.
Yeah, if he makes one shape change, you can't go at him the rest of the turn.
Ooh, that is good.
Yeah, that's good for him.
Yeah.
We have other Iconix, Beholder, and that whole set. It comes out. Well, it's supposed to come out this week.
Well, did we miss any? Yeah, I didn't get my Beholder though.
I didn't either. I think it's supposed. It comes out Wednesday.
Gotcha. I'll look for it this week. So, just real quick, we didn't miss any. I want to just before we go to Beholder.
We talk about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yes.
Yes. So, That's Marvel, Iconix.
Yeah, first appearance Spider-Man is what this one is.
Hey, we could talk about Deadpool too.
So, first appearance Spider-Man comes with 2 figures.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, the one where he's carrying the guy, the literal first appearance, and then the one where he's got his first costume when he's in the. I assume that's the wrestling one, like before he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, he's Spider-Man before he's got the spider powers, but he's not Spider-Man yet, right? That's when he's doing that wrestling right before.
It's Crusher Hogan, so that's when he was wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys feel about these?
He does some interesting, different things, I suppose.
So, opposing characters don't stop moving when they become adjacent to Spider-Man and don't need to break away from him. Unique modifier. When an opposing character moves through a square adjacent to Spider-Man, modify Spider-Man's attack and damage until the end of your next turn. Adjacent opposing characters can't use shape change or stealth. Super senses, but succeeds on a 3 through 6. When Spider-Man uses it, decrease the result by -1 for each square between Spider-Man and the attacker. And he does have Spider-Man TA, so he has a 2 through 6 super senses if he's being punched. But if you're, I don't know, shooting him pretty far away, it could just be a 6.
Yep.
So what I would like to see is some version of stealth. Do we have equipable stealth right now? No.
Yeah, Khonshu can give you stealth.
Oh yeah, there we go, Khonshu. So not equipable, but given this Spider-Man stealth may not be that big a deal. He doesn't have any. May be a big deal. He doesn't have any murnable keywords.
Yeah.
So having him hop around and require the punch to happen.
He does have super strength, so that matters.
He can carry, so he can have Khonshu and carry the phone booth. Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's okay.
Ooh, man. I don't think that's bad.
No, I don't think it's bad at all.
Even like in like Kong getting rid of the shape change from the phone booth, like, oh man, why am I liking this? I should dislike Spider-Man with all of his stupid ass rollouts, but I kind of like stealth with a 2 through 6 super senses, especially because he's a Marvel character, which means Kevin can re-roll it, which is also really huge going into Modern next year.
Yeah. Very true.
Man, I don't dislike this. He's got a decent number of clicks. His attack values are solid. If they come up to punch him or run past him, he's hitting even harder.
Yeah. I like him.
Well, it's a unique modifier, so he's only hitting 1 harder.
I know that if they didn't,
not bad.
Yeah, if they didn't have that, I think I'd be game.
I don't hate it.
I don't either. It's not. I'm probably not picking it up. The other Spider-Man is okay. It's 40 points for 8 clicks, so that's nice. He's got a trait close. If Spider-Man has 1 action token, make a close attack. If he hits, he and a hit character can't be targeted by close attacks until your next turn. That is it says signature move, so that is a very nod towards WWE, yeah, without explicitly stating this is WWE related, because it makes sense. This is when he was wrestling. So that's totally cool. Like, I like that nod, because that's how they all worked, and it was kind of infuriating back then. If they have an action token, they can do this cool power. But he has a movement power his whole dial, leap, climb, plasticity. Once per turn, you may reroll an adjacent opposing character's attack roll. And then sudden reversal. He has it on his first 2 clicks and then later down dial. Free. If Spider-Man has been given no other actions this turn, make a close attack, targeting a character that, since your last turn, missed Spider-Man or failed to break away from Spider-Man. So it is very much a WWE-esque figure. Like, if you miss WWE a lot and you wanted to play those figures, get the Spider-Man. He's not bad.
Yeah, he's not bad. I think the first Spider-Man definitely makes it worthy of a buy. And then the second Spider-Man, meh, it's a throwback.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting it for sure. Yeah.
I think people would be more upset if you didn't get it, Jason.
Yeah, like, I gotta have it. I love it.
Yeah, I would put this Spider-Man set, if I was like thinking about all the Iconix and whatnot, I would compare it to like the Hulk and Wolverine first appearance, where it's like it's got some cool stuff in it. You don't have to have it, but you might be kicking, with these Iconix, you might be kicking yourself down the road if you don't have it.
Yeah.
There's not an Iconic that I haven't bought at this point. I've bought all of them.
Yeah, like, some people are still kicking themselves for the Death of Superman one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because those were hard to find. Nowadays they are. The other Marvel thing we'll talk about, we won't talk about the Iconics because we don't have it all yet. We don't have the trick arrows. But the Deadpool and Cable Valentine's Day.
You mean the
Iconics.
not Cable one?
Yeah, Cable broke
Not
up with
Cable.
Deadpool, I guess. And he's no longer in the Iconics at all.
Yeah.
There's 3
Same.
mystery bugs in there now.
Yeah, the same price as it was before. $24.99, I think. But they just took out the Cable. No real explanation. I mean, they don't have to, but they kind of do because people have, pre-ordered this. They have purchased it with the intent of, this is Deadpool and Cable. But who knows? Who knows if we will ever see that Cable?
World, right? We saw this at Worlds, did we not?
Yeah, I don't think we saw the Cable.
Yeah, I think we just saw the figure.
Yeah, and so we don't know the reason. It could be simply they just couldn't make them in time. Or Marvel decided they didn't want to do the Cable part. Who knows?
Who knows?
It would be nice if WizKids said something. Like, they do probably need to say something, because there were people that have paid on the WizKids site and pre-ordered it.
Yeah, they're not going to do that, though. It's just like when WWE Series 2 disappeared. They didn't say a thing.
Well, this is different, though, from that.
I know, but they're not going to talk about contractual issues or licensee problems.
Right, but
That's what it was.
they could send something out or make a note saying, like, apologizing to the community that Cable isn't going to make it.
I did see an email that somebody got that had it pre-ordered. They offered them another free figure, like a Battle Gnome or whatever, or
But I
they
think
could cancel their purchase. But yeah,
I think that was because they complained. I think they sent an email and saying, "Hey, I pre-ordered this, and it didn't get it." I sent them an
maybe
email.
everyone should do that. I'm just putting it out there.
Well, I haven't gotten a response to my email yet, so I'm waiting to hear, because I ordered the Beholder back in April.
Supposed to have a map in it. Like,
Right, so like I had a pre-order I made back in April to get the zombie George Washington and the dinosaur hatchling.
Yeah,
and I stupidly put the Beholder in it, not knowing it wasn't going to come out until December, because I think it had an October date at that point.
it
And
did.
so it still doesn't show for me that it's even shipped or it's done anything. And so I've sent him an email because I want to know, am I getting this dinosaur hatchling? Am I getting the zombie George Washington at this point? Do they have any more in their warehouse? Because if not, I want to know what's happening with that, because
It's been in a box in the corner for you waiting.
yeah, they've had it for so long.
yeah.
But yeah, that was the next.
There's
thing.
one more. There's one more that we know of. Do we want to talk about the Captain America?
From the what?
From the ice. The cap and the capsicle, the Iconix Captain America from the ice that we saw, and it was in the case at Worlds. We've seen the card to it.
I don't see it on units. Is it the Captain?
It's on there. I'm looking at it.
Which one is it? The MVX
Cell
019? Oh, 19. Okay, that looks like he's standing up, not laying in an icicle.
Well, there's an object, I think it's him in the ice. But,
has that come out yet?
No.
No.
I think it pushed back to Q1 of 2025.
So we do have, like, looking at the solicits, which they have loosely updated them for anybody not aware. The only things coming out this month is Spider-Man came out on the 11th. Beholder comes out on the 18th, as does the Black Panther Retail Chase Boosters OP kits, and as does the DC Wild West OP kit. There is listed the HeroClix Iconix Cave of the Owlbears. You know, remember there are 3 D&D ones: the Beholder, the Phaser Beast, and the Owlbear one.
Displacer Beast.
Yeah, the Displacer Beast. Yeah, that's the cat-looking thing with multiple tails. The Owlbear one does not have a date. It just says December, so I probably wouldn't count on that one coming out. Usually if they don't have a date on there, it's not coming out. Beholder has 18th written on it, so that's probably why no one's gotten it. It's supposed, some people have. We've seen it on Facebook, right? Some people have gotten it, but it's supposed to come out Wednesday, so keep an eye out for that. Another quick update is most of these other ones we're talking about has moved to January. Like Sandman, the DC Iconix, that has a January date. That is also when Collector's Trove is quote-unquote coming out, is January. Captain America from the Ice is also January, as is the Displacer Beast one. There's a lot in January, actually. There's no way all of this is coming out. But
No, I doubt it.
because there's Mr. Freeze is also January. There's some Spider-Verse release day stuff. I think they're going to have to move those. I don't think those got moved with everything else. Because Spider-Verse is... I don't know when Spider-Verse is. March is Smash and Destroy.
Well, Spider-Verse was before Smash and Destroy.
Yeah, I don't know where...
They're getting pushed back. They're not coming out that fast.
I hope that... Oh, no, Spider-Verse is also listed for January. I see it.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, no. All of this needs to get pushed. Because, remember, Collector's Trove was probably, I think, supposed to come out this month, December.
Yep, it was.
And so everything's gotten pushed, which is okay. It's okay to have sets pushed a little bit, especially since we don't have any events. You don't want another notorious...
No events, no modern events.
Not till February. Not till February.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Are we ready to talk about Beholder and the other iconic stuff in there?
Yes.
Okay, so the Beholder Iconix comes with the Beholder, which we've seen since Worlds. He's pretty cool. We could talk about him in a sec. But we also got 2 other objects which we saw this week. Beholder, I won't go through all of his eye rays, but he comes at 300 or 150. He has traded Super Senses, Willpower, and Safeguard Outwit. So he effectively has Cosmic Energy, but because this is a Dungeons and Dragons thing, they don't have, team abilities, or like specific team abilities for this. So effectively he has Power Cosmic without saying Power Cosmic.
Yeah. And Super Senses, which is huge.
Yeah, it's needed. He could be equipped, because he is just a normal-sized character. He has an attack power, his whole dial, eye rays, precision strike, and then he will have a... I don't know if he comes with a D20.
He does.
He does.
They do. They do. He comes with a single D20 for both his dial, and then you can also use it for the fucking treasure chest thing.
Yeah, and luckily it's just a normal D20. It's not like Strange where it just was colors, so you can use any D20 for these. And so each of, 1 through 2, 3 through 4, his D20 is broken up where you have 10 options that could happen when you roll it. They're all pretty good. Like, I like all of them. I'm eager to play Beholder at 150. I think he has potential there. He does have a stop impervious. The first time this click is revealed, after resolutions, the turn ends. And then once per turn, the beholder may re-roll a d20 they rolled. So that's if you're on that stop click. And then he has a damage power on his off click, so not the first one. Outwit, free, choose an opposing character within range and line of fire. The chosen character can't use the effect of equipment until your next turn.
Yep. So I just want. There's a lot here to unpack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just be the first to say, at 150, he sucks.
Yeah, he needs some help at 150.
Yeah. So, and let's also be clear. There's also the new one shot, the rivalry one shot for 160 points, or the Space Gem, whatever. Right. You can manipulate and get a better critical hit now. But yeah, so in Modern, if you play this guy at 150 with whatever one-shots that we'll talk about later, so if you roll a 1920 on the D20, you get this 150-point dial, because we're looking at this dial, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get that into position, then you roll a critical hit through shape change, super senses, defense values with the fucking 11 at 150. Good luck. You'll KO a character. Good job. So
yeah, but that character could be something big.
It could be. Let's be clear. It could be. I'm not denying that it could be.
It could be a Trigon at 200 points.
Or 300 points.
Right, but all right. So I understand he's got an 11.
He's got an 11. It's super hard for him to get into position.
So he's got running shot.
Like,
you could also equip him with pulse wave.
Uh-huh.
And so you could just pulse wave somebody.
Uh-huh.
The key thing is you'd have to hit. So yes, you could play the power gem. That's the one when a friendly character attacks, the attack roll is 10 or higher. You can have that attack become a critical hit.
Yeah.
So that's probably a must when you're playing Beholder, for when you roll a 10 or above.
Yeah, I just think this guy going second just sucks.
Potentially. I don't think he is a must play by any means. I think he's neat enough that
now
you want the set regardless because of the object.
Correct.
I think he is good enough to want to try to play.
Now, if you were to play the Beholder in any number of any other given formats, where that point total for that format may be above 300 points, you know, especially if you factor in some figures that no longer are currently in the modern age. Now Beholder can definitely be pretty scary.
But the fact of the matter is, I mean, he can hit almost the whole map because he has a 7 range.
I get
triple target, and he sees through characters hindering and shoots out of adjacency. And so, he does have precision strike.
So is there anything other than 19 and 20 that we want to talk about? So let's just I'm not going to read them all, right? So 1-2, -2 attack, 3-4 can't use attack powers, whatever.
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's an okay one.
That's okay, not a big deal. Still has to hit. Fear Ray, hit characters modify combat values until -1. Okay, that's fine. Slowing where it can't use speed powers.
That's good.
It's all hit. I get that. That was good. It's all hit characters though, right? I'm not seeing anything.
Right. Well, it's because when he attacks, you're expecting something that just works when you miss.
Yeah, telekinetic ray is
there's a ton
knockback.
of HeroClix power that does that, where you miss and something happens.
Yeah, sleep ray. They're given 2 hit tokens.
Integration ray is probably the best one after.
Yeah, petrification ray, immobile, remove any equipment. I mean, here's the thing. Like, it feels like to me, a good player has some sort of flurry on their team and, like, can mitigate the stop click. and he just dies.
Yeah, it would have to be flurry.
Or, no, it didn't have to be flurry.
I mean, it doesn't. I'm saying out of standard powers.
Sorry. You're right.
There could be others where it says after resolutions make an attack, and then your after resolutions would trump theirs.
Correct. Yeah, I'm thinking precision strike trick arrows, right?
Sure.
Where you drop the quake arrow or you drop a too dangerous. Obviously, you got to hit this guy 3 times. I think, because if you just hit him once to a stop click, then it's over. Like, the turn's over, so that's a problem. But it's like you hit him for a little bit with some pin damage. That's not hard to do. Then you tickle him a little bit with a double tap, and then he's gone. I think that's just the biggest problem. Like, sure, do I want to see somebody like Final Table of Worlds 2025? Boop boop boop. Oh man, he rolled a 1920. Oh my gosh, he crit hit. Oh. Like, yeah, I mean, that'd be awesome. And sure, it's something that could be monitored, right? Like, if we get some more dice manipulation and all this other stuff. But, like, as of right now, I don't think he's a worry.
No, I definitely wouldn't worry about him. I think he's good enough to be played. Because, obviously, we all know now shape change means nothing. You could just give it for free. So, just park him next to a phone booth and he'll be fine. So, he'll have super senses, shape change, both unoutwittable. Yes, he could still be blasted at a 19 impervious, so invincible would be better, which you could maybe luck out and give that to him with treasure chest, which we'll get to. But I think he's cool. I think he does enough neat things. I know you were really focusing on the hit characters part, but if you could just equip him with the standard weapon or whatever, universal weapon, and just give him Pulse Wave, and that's still plenty good enough. And then everyone you hit with the Pulse Wave could not use attack powers or not use speed powers, and then you don't get that flurry anymore. Like, there's a lot you could. Would that work with? That wouldn't be. You can't increase damage on Pulse Wave. It's set. Even if something says increase.
Yeah, you can.
You can or can't.
You can.
So, like, if
that's what a critical hit does.
So, like, if you hit that 9/10, increase damage dealt to hit characters by the number of action tokens they have. I mean, that could be potentially great too. Like a Pulse Wave that hits for 2 to 3, depending on how many action tokens they have. Right.
So I love your line of thought here. I agree with it, but it's also like, it probably just means like trick arrows need something done to him. I don't know, because you're thinking about this universal weapon to give him Pulse Wave. Well, USB arrow, boop. Like, I mean, and I'm talking. And my whole basis of thought here, right, is when Beholder goes second. Like, when he goes first, all of these things can pop off. I totally agree with you. But, like,
sure,
if he goes second, I mean, gosh, he just seems like he's a big, ugly-looking target to go beat on.
I guess I'm just trying to think of, like, what... Right now, I know you mentioned Flurry. I'm trying to think of all the pieces that would be running across the board that I couldn't protect Beholder with from 2 Flurries.
Well, there's...
Like,
Hawkeye.
I get Kong. I get Kong, right? Kong coming over, smashing. That could still be possible. I get that.
Right. The same things we've been talking about. Hawkeye and Hawkeye, TV She-Hulk, you know.
Hawkeye and Hawkeye could be interesting. They only do 3 damage.
Correct, but you have to hit him with something else first.
I'm
talking about the flurry is your second action on him.
Sure.
So, like,
he's not going to be, like, he's not a piece that you can just plug and play. Like, it's something that you would have to know how to protect him. You would have to know, like, giving him stealth or giving him other methods of Like, he's not going to be a piece you can easily just be like, I'm going to play the beholder and win. It's one I think that's going to be much more nuanced, but I think he does enough unique things to make it worth it. We don't have to keep taking more time because the objects are kind of the cool things to talk about in this.
I agree. I just don't think he's some sort of OMG,
right?
Watch list worthy sort of thing.
No, the spooky thing with him is more in silver, just because you can manipulate that critical hit part a little bit more. But even then, it's really a big reach in silver. So
yeah,
he's fine on his own. That's why, if anyone's wondering why he's already on the watch list for silver, is because of that. Because you have things like Spiderling or other pieces that mitigate and control that whole attack as a critical hit.
Yep.
There isn't a lot that could re-roll the d20, but
I don't think there's anything that can re-roll the d20.
I think there's like one or two that says a die or something like that. Maybe.
I don't know.
But
this is where I will just choose not to comment any further, and we can talk about the treasure chest.
Yeah, so we got two cool objects: treasure chest, bag of holding. Treasure chest is probably.
So this is a 5-point special object. It's got to start 5 squares away from your starting area. And you can go pick it up. It's just a regular object, so anybody can pick it up, right?
Yeah, should be. It's indestructible.
Okay. And then we also have a sideline active part of it. So when an opposing character is KO'd by a friendly effect, after resolutions, generate this object from your sideline in the square at last occupied. I like that. So we've got a sideline active object now. This is the first time for that.
Yeah, so I'll read the big long one. So at the beginning of your turn, roll a d20. So keep that d20 around. Until your next turn, treasure chest has characters in the same square as or adjacent to the treasure chest can use the resulting effect. And so 1 to 2 is leap climb, 3 to 4 is stealth, 5 to 6 is the flight. You can use flight. 7 to 8, shape change. 9 to 10, super strength. 11 to 12, super senses. 13 to 14, regen and support. 15 to 16, blades, claws, fangs, and giant reach 3. 17 to 18, pulse wave. 19, invincible, or invisible, as it says on HC units. And then 20, you get to just choose another result and roll again. So you can choose one of these, and then you get to roll again and get another one. So you could choose invincible, and then you still get to roll on a 20, and maybe you get stealth that time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all just at the beginning of your turn. When this is out on the map, you get to roll it.
Yeah, and somebody can pack it around, and they get it, and then everybody else adjacent to them gets it.
Yeah. It's cool.
What really likes this? Like, Ivy's maybe really like this? Doesn't really give them a lot of attack powers, does it, though? Or, like, things that help them attack?
Not really. It's kind of all... Yeah, it's all over the place.
It's pretty random, so...
Yeah, the reason it's so beneficial is because you could just put it on your sideline.
Yeah.
And then it just boops in.
Just free, yeah.
I dig that.
Which
well, it's not free. It's 5 points.
Yeah, it's 5 points to play.
It's free, isn't it?
No, it's still 5 points on your side.
No, it's still 5 points.
You know what? It may not be. It may be free on your sideline.
Because I don't know. I'd have to look into that because you had to pay for like ID cards and stuff on your sideline before.
But that's because they said that on their rules. I think it's free for your sideline.
I don't.
Man, know. we need to go back to the old nine slot sideline.
I need to see what the rules are for special objects. I bet it has to be in there.
Yeah, that's okay. We can just go with it's free for now, and then it may not be later. That's okay.
Yeah, but the key thing is that people don't typically play these type of objects because of the randomness. But with it being only 5 points, or the fact that it spreads it to everyone adjacent, like in the same square and adjacent, that makes it better. Like as opposed to like alchemical potion, the old the weapon drop that we had forever ago, where you would just roll a die and you never knew what you got. Hopefully you got something good. the bat belt. You know, those pieces didn't see a lot of play because there's an element of randomness, and people try to mitigate that. Treasure chest, if it's free or even if it's not, the fact that everyone around you, like, you can have all of your characters adjacent to this and in the square, I guess.
Yeah.
Get whatever the ability is, like, even if it's stealth, even if it's just flight, like, that's still good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's useful. It's cool. I like it. I plan on playing it on most of my teams, as long as I have the sunlight space.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the bag of holding. So 10 points when this character. We also got it's free for mystical. When this character picks up an object, you may place it on the bag of holdings card. Power: place an object on bag of holdings card into an adjacent square. Free: choose an effect from an object on a bag of holdings card for this character to use until they choose again.
It's also for the warrior keyword.
I know. Is it any good though?
Is this any good? Maybe. The problem that you have with this is that this gets into the whole annoying thing about terrain markers, special objects, object, like all of the above. Like, what is a terrain marker? What is an object? So when this character picks up an object, so what are our current objects? Just standard objects?
Well,
I don't even know anymore.
Trap and barrel.
Well, equipment are objects when they're on the map, right?
Yeah.
That's why it mentions effects.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I get annoyed with some of the terms, because like objects are a subset of terrain markers, but all terrain markers aren't objects. So it's one of those. Okay, well, what are considered objects? Equipment when they fall to the ground are objects, but like other terrain markers aren't, right?
What do you mean? I don't know what you're saying there, Alex.
So like you couldn't pick up the phone booth.
Sure, you
because
can.
that's not. But is that an object?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. It's declared as a terrain marker.
Okay. Okay. I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, like if it's something where it's like, oh, you pick it up, it's now considered an object. Well, then you could put the terrain marker on the bag of holding, or not. I'm sorry, you could put the phone booth. You could put it in this bag of holding now, and you could do free, choose an effect from the object on the bag of holding, and this character can use the
But they don't have effects, do they?
Isn't the phone booth, isn't that an effect or no?
I don't know. Now you got me questioning it.
Yeah, it's effect terrain.
It says effect. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, you could just get the shape change.
Yeah, it's whether or not they consider object, because objects are, I believe, different than terrain markers. They're listed under terrain markers, but are terrain markers considered? It's weird.
What do you even? So let's just assume that it's the powerful version. Are you even picking up anything worth of crap? Like without having to KO something, right? Like you can pick up a enemy's universal weapon, right? Ooh yeah, badass, right? We picking up anything worth shit? Like to make this worth it?
You could, if you're worried about someone blowing up the heart-shaped shrub or whatever it's called, or you really want to protect your phone booth, and like you're really counting on it, and you wanted this character to have shape change, you didn't want to have to go some other method, you want some flexibility, then maybe. There's also instances with Elsa, right? Like if you're using her to just steal objects or to take equipment, and you can chuck it onto the bag of holding and just choose which one you want to use that turn. You can only choose one, right? Because it's a free action to use the effect. But you can also take a power action to just take it out and give it to somebody.
Sure.
If you really wanted to. So it's neat. I don't know how playable it is, but there's definitely instances I think you could. Prime Elsa, I think, is the key one.
Yeah.
potentially. I don't know how often she could drop objects, or drop the equipment, but I think Collector does. I know there's something in Collector's Trove that makes them drop an object, I feel like. I don't recall exactly.
The old the Magneto from Deadpool, just drop a bunch of drop everything.
Legacy Collector, the new one, when he hits, the opposing character could choose either the damage from the attack is unavoidable, or they unequip and equipped equipment. And so most of those are equipped drop. So they would drop it, and then you could run over, pick it up, and throw it in your bag of holding, and just use the effect without having to equip.
Yeah, that also sounds like not a good way to do it, because Collector can just equip it to himself and just use it all the time.
Right. Like, Collector would not need this object, but this allows you to not benefit from having multiple equipment, but being able to pick and choose. So there might be some use case scenarios where this could be useful.
Okay.
It's unique enough. And either way, Treasure Chest, I think, like, between Beholder, Treasure Chest, and Bag of Holding, this is an Iconix you absolutely want to pick up.
I agree.
It's cool enough. It's unique enough. And you also want to support the idea that Dungeons & Dragons is a cool enough IP for them to do more HeroClix with. Because it is an IP that I think is super cool for them to keep doing HeroClix with. So...
All right. What else?
I mean, I think that's most of it.
Oh, man.
I don't think we have any other DC Iconics. I don't think we have any other Marvel Iconics to really talk about.
We miss anything else, Jason, that you're aware of?
I don't think so.
We are coming close, for those listening, to doing a set review, or heavily talking about Collector's Trove, because we've almost seen everything. Almost. There's some chases. Is it just chases at this point? Some primes. I think there's a prime.
Yeah.
A prime or two we haven't seen.
Maybe check out the Clixed Off YouTube channel this week.
Yeah, something might be coming.
Something will be coming. We're going to get it filmed and unboxed. There's no doubt. All right. Well, let's wrap it up with some final thoughts. Alex, final thoughts?
Well, we'll probably do, outside of that video, we'll need to do one more episode before the end of the year, because we have the end of the year stuff.
Yep.
That we need to talk about. So stay tuned for that. That's always a lot of fun to look back on the year and how it went and the sets that we got. So stay tuned for that.
Jason?
Yeah. Merry Christmas if we don't hear from us before then. I'm looking forward to 2025 and playing some new figures.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I think we will be targeting that year-end episode in between Christmas and New Year's. And thanks everybody for listening to Clixed Off today, and we'll talk to y'all next time.
Later.
See ya.